So, have you been thinking about starting a long-term emergency food storage pantry for the first time?
When you're just getting starting out, it can feel pretty overwhelming.
Well, hey everybody, I'm Bill.
And I'm Elizabeth. Live simple.
Live free. Starting out a long-term emergency food storage pantry. So many people that I have known of in the past have started out by just simply going out and buying 50 pounds of beans and 50 pounds of rice.
Yeah. And that's actually, the combination is good protein. There's a lot of cultures that live on like a lot of beans and rice, like down in Costa Rica, but they know what to do with it. And I ran into a friend at church one time that was really exasperated because they had spent quite a bit and gotten themselves several big barrels of beans and rice for emergency food. And he thought, wonder how that's doing, and he went back and checked. And even though it was packaged pretty carefully, it was a big, huge thing. Anyway, the food had started to mold. And he was really disappointed, And also, you can cook the rice and cook the beans, and I enjoy beans actually and rice. But if you're not used to that, or you're not sure how to cook it, or you're not sure how to season it, or you're not being careful to at least keep a good supply of salt, you can get really tired of beans and rice pretty quickly. Because there aren't too many different ways you can fix it unless you've got a lot of other things to add. So
you can survive on beans and rice, but it's definitely survival food, unless you're in a culture that cooks with it all the time and you know what to do with it. Most of us as North Americans don't know what to do with it.
Well, and they add so many things to make it taste good.
That's true, yeah. So then the next step would be to start buying other things at the grocery store besides beans and rice. And most people would go out and start buying things on sale, which is a great way to go. Don't get me wrong. There's nothing wrong with buying things, at the best prices you can find. Here's the problem. They'll go out and start just buying everything that they see that's on sale because, this would be good, but they do it without a plan. So then they end up with an entire room full of stuff that they've bought on sale, and every single time they try to put a meal together, they discover they're short one ingredient or two ingredients to put together a meal.
Yeah.
And that's because they have purchased all of this stuff without a plan.
Yeah.
So how do you make a plan? Oh, well, another thing too, a lot of people ask me, how much food do I need for a 6-month supply for my family? And they want me to tell them, X number of pounds of this and this and this and this. What I'm going to show you is how to have a plan so you know that you have complete meals, and also so you know exactly what you've got, a month's supply or 6 months supply.
Right, you know how much you're going to need.
Right, or whatever. So here's the basic plan. Let's start with 1 week. You want to have a 1 week supply. So you put together a menu that has 7 meals, your evening meals.
Start with that.
Start with your evening meals, and just write out all the recipes and figure out what you need. And it needs to be stuff that can be long-term storage. So, for instance, chili. In our house, I cook the chili.
He loves chili.
And I do mostly cans. A can of pinto beans, a can of dark red kidney beans, a can of light red kidney beans, one of those small cans of tomato paste, a can of crushed or diced tomatoes. I like to throw some onions in there, but that's not going to be long-term storage. Unless you use Thrive. Thrive Life.
Thrive Life, right.
Has freeze-dried onions.
In fact, they have freeze-dried everything you just mentioned. Yep.
And then the spices.
Yeah.
And that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Now, you can make it like that and make it a vegetarian chili. If you want to put meat in it, you can use canned chicken or something like that if you want. Or Thrive Life, of course, freeze-dried, has amazing hamburger, ground beef that you can use to put in there. But here's the deal. You get everything you need to make a batch of chili, and it's all dry or canned stuff that can be stored. So then you put that aside, and you've got one meal ready to go. And then you look at everything on the menu that you have. Maybe another one is spaghetti. So tell them about spaghetti.
Yeah, yeah. I have to admit that having the freeze-dried food has revolutionized spaghetti for me.
Yeah.
Because it's gotten harder through the years to do a lot of chopping, and it has to have onions and peppers and garlic and peppers, onions, peppers, and mushrooms. You've got to have it in there. And so with having so many of the things freeze-dried now, I throw in extra vegetables even, but I can just throw together all the ingredients that I need. And then I can use either the herbs, the Italian herbs, or with the tomato powder, which makes a tomato paste kind of a thing, or I can get the actual the marinara sauce, the tomato sauce mix, which is gluten-free. It's wonderful. But I just throw everything in get the meat put in there, and I love to use the sausage. I just throw it in, start things over the stove, getting all rehydrated, refreshed, and throwing the tomatoes. And if I've cooked my pasta, I'm ready. I'm just telling you, it couldn't be easier. And that's a really easy meal from everything I can think of that you could have all dried, including the pasta, of course. And you have that ready to go.
Yeah, we can do that. Except for the pasta, we can do 100% Thrive Life freeze dried. You can also, if you're not using freeze dried, you can just do, a jar of Prego spaghetti sauce, something like that, and a can of mushrooms and that sort of thing. But so you put together your spaghetti meal as well.
And I wanted to mention one thing real quick too, is that like when you think about things like the chili or even the spaghetti, as you're planning it, you can realize, this would make 2 meals, or this would make a meal. When I make this, it makes a meal and some leftovers or something like that. Like we never make a little bit of chili, and so we'll talk more later about some of the rest of the meals of the day or whatever. But sometimes you can get yourself set for several meals. So anyway, go ahead.
So once you get your weekly, your menu for 1 week, you fill out everything, or you buy everything you need to make those 7 meals. You put them on the shelf. Now you know that you have exactly 1 full week of evening meals. Mm-hmm. And we'll talk about breakfast and lunch in a little while. But once you get that accomplished, then all you have to do is triple that, and you know that you've got food for a month. You've got 7 meals.
Quadruple it.
Well, 3 more.
Oh, I see that. Okay, I'm sorry.
Sorry. You've got
do
one.
it 3 more times.
Yeah, you've got 1 week. Do that 3 more times.
Okay.
Now you know that you've got, well, not a month, 28 days.
Yeah.
If you're going to be so precise, dear one.
You know me.
Now you know you've got 4 weeks worth of food. You know exactly that you have everything that you need to make those meals, and you've got 7 meals, so you can have a different one every night. Now, if you want to expand it into more than that, of course, you can just keep doing that over and over again. Or you can actually sit down and put together a second menu with 7 more recipes, and then do the same thing to accumulate your second month. So basically by the time you do that, you'll have 8 weeks worth of meals, and you'll have 14 different meals that you can select from.
And see, I know families that love to just have the same thing every week.
Yeah.
Tacos on Tuesday, meatloaf on Wednesday, baked chicken on Sunday, whatever it would be. But a lot of times people would like to have more variety than that. So you can have as much variety as you want to plan on.
Right. Now, you can do that with canned goods, with dried goods that you buy at the grocery store. You can also do that with, of course, Thrive Life freeze-dried food. You can mix it together, whatever. Now with Thrive, you're going to have a large can, and how much is in that for your planning. You have to know how many meals can I make with this can. So on the Thrive Life website, you can actually see the product label, and it'll tell you exactly how many servings and the size of each serving that's in the can, so you can use that for your planning.
Yeah.
So let me take just a second and go right now and show you where you can find that on the website, because it's a little hard to find. Well, here I am on our Thrive Life website. The link for this is in the description down below the video. And so if you go up here to shop, and I'm going to look at the vegetables. Now let's just look at the first one, broccoli. Now there's 2 things you can do here. You can click on the quick shop, and that just shows you the prices, and you can order very quickly, but it doesn't give you all the information. So what I recommend is you click on the picture or on learn more down there, and that'll take you to the full page, the full product page. Okay, so here's the full product page. And here I just want to mention this is the retail price, and if you join the monthly delivery, then you're going to get 15% off of everything across the board. So there's the delivery price. And you can choose pantry can or family can, that sort of thing. But to find the nutritional information, you can do one of two things. It's right under the picture. There's a thumbnail right there, or you can find it down here. So if you just click on there, that'll show you the product label on the can, and you can expand it a little bit. And this shows, look at ingredients, broccoli, nothing else. It's very clean food. Servings per container, 6, 1/2 cup servings. It gives you all the nutritional information. So it's very easy to find not only the ingredients, but serving size, servings in a container, and all the nutritional stuff here.
When we think about breakfast and lunch, a lot of times that doesn't need to kind of have the same variety. It's kind of a little easier to repeat the same kinds of things for breakfast. But if you really enjoy having, egg dishes in the morning, or pancakes or cereals, you just figure out what you think you might want for a week for breakfast, and just make sure you have that stuff. And a lot of that'll be more repetitive. Lunches, whatever you enjoy, whatever you can manage to make sure you have in stores so that you can go ahead and enjoy lunch, because it just depends on what people like. But there's a lot of different ways that a person can even like make bread. But there's you can have dry bread mixes that are not that difficult to make, because the bread's not going to last forever even in a freezer. And so, but there's ways you can make it. Also, leftovers are really a wonderful lunch. They're already healthy, and if you can plan on having enough extra to feel like you could have some lunch, that's a quick and easy lunch to have.
Yeah, so you mix up a big pot of spaghetti for the evening, and then you have it for lunch the next day. Yeah. The leftovers for lunch the next day.
And there's dried cheeses. Thrive Life has freeze-dried cheese, or you can get other kinds, as long as you can make sure it's going to be really well protected and preserved. But and then just have that put the fresh, rehydrated cheese on top. There's just all sorts of good possibilities. So
now, let me talk about the breakfast a little bit more.
Oh yes,
there are many different options. If you like oatmeal, you can stock up on oatmeal. That keeps a long time, and you can just do the oatmeal. There are things that you can get that are not Thrive Life, of course, like oatmeal. And other things, but I really love Thrive Life for breakfast.
Yeah. Oh, it is so useful and good.
So, for instance, if you're going to do oatmeal, it's much better with milk on it. Thrive Life has amazing freeze-dried milk.
Yeah.
So you can have fresh milk mixed up and put over your oatmeal. You can also put some Thrive freeze-dried fruits in your oatmeal
that are yummy.
Yeah.
And make sure you have maybe some cinnamon. You could put apples and cinnamon, or different kinds of berries.
They have freeze-dried honey that you can make and pour over the top.
Freeze-dried honey is really good.
Eggs.
Wonderful.
Thrive is amazing for breakfast for eggs. Do you like oatmeal? I just said oatmeal. Do you like omelets? I love omelets, but we very rarely make them because they're so labor intensive, because you have to decide ahead of time what you're going to put in them, and you have to make sure that you go out to the store and buy mushrooms or tomatoes or whatever you're going to put in them, grated cheese.
Meat. Now think about it. You'd have to cook the sausage or cook the meat, drain it, make sure that's ready to go, probably thaw it, cook it, and drain it, chop up all those veggies, and have enough that you're not going to have waste, because you know very well that if unused veggies stay in the fridge or chopped veggies stay in the fridge, they're not going to last any time at all.
So Thrive is amazing because they have a scrambled egg mix that you can't, if I mixed it up for you and didn't tell you it was freeze-dried, you'd never know it. You'd never suspect it. So you can use that.
It's just eggs.
Yes, just eggs, nothing else. So you can use that and just make up some scrambled eggs, or you can use that to make an omelet, and the coolest thing is if you're stocked up on the veggies that go in an omelet, you've got everything you need. You've got cheese, you've got different kinds of meat, sausage or hamburger. You can put in mushrooms, bell peppers,
onion, spinach,
anything you want.
Yes.
And it's all right there, and it only takes a couple minutes to rehydrate all that stuff and make it in your omelet. And you can have infinite variation. So in this meal plan of yours, you don't really have to plan, well, this is what I'm going to have for breakfast today and for tomorrow.
Yeah.
Just have a bunch of omelet making stuff, and maybe if you're, like I said, if you like oatmeal, have a bunch of oatmeal with fruit and milk and stuff to put in it like that.
Have the stuff to make pancakes, which can be all done all like dried ingredients.
And then, of course, if you like sugar on your oatmeal, sugar is dry and easily storable. So, yeah. So that's the basic plan. Just don't go at it just helter-skelter, just buying whatever's on sale. Make a plan, make recipes, go about it intentionally. If you do that, then you're going to know, I have exactly 4 months worth of food storage, or I have 6 months worth of food storage for my family of 2 or for my family of 10. It doesn't matter. Right. You're making the plan, you're buying the stuff, you know exactly what you want. It relieves so much chaos.
Right, and concern and stress.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Another thing that we want to kind of keep in mind, especially if we have a family, is to have some things around that are just kind of be fun treats. I just recently did a video where I made a little Valentine's cake, and that proved to me how easy it would be to have muffin stuff, pancake stuff, and have it all be dried, because I even had butter powder and milk powder and all that. But to have the things you need to make a kind of a treat, or somebody's birthday cake, or to have a special Sunday morning breakfast or something like that, can really help difficult times to be a lot more fun, especially for kids.
Right.
Now there are mixes that you can get. Even Thrive Life has some dessert things, but it depends. And like I said, like I showed you in that one video about the cake, it's pretty easy just to put the ingredients together, and it came out really good.
Now, there is a saying or an adage in the prepper industry that you want to store what you eat and eat what you store.
Yeah.
That way you avoid the problem of your food storage getting old and stale and getting past the expiration dates. Well, that's not so much of a problem if you're using Thrive, because they have a 25-year shelf life.
Yeah.
But if you're using any other cans, usually they have 3-year or 5-year, whatever, shelf life. So you need to use them so that you can constantly be renewing. So what you do...
keep it rotating. Yeah.
Well, first of all, you need to organize them into meals. If you have shelves, and you can put, okay, this is my section for chili. So you put the chili and then rows of chili behind. Or you can put them in like a great big 2-gallon Ziploc baggie and put a meal in each one, so they're easy to grab and easy to store. If you're going to decide that, well, tonight we're going to have chili, you go out and buy everything that you need for chili, and you buy the cans or whatever you're going to buy, and then when you come home, you put it in the back and you use the chili meal from the front. That way you're constantly rotating the food. It's never going to go past the expiration dates.
Now, if you're planning on using more bulk kinds of foods, which most of Thrive Life actually is, it's kind of in bulk, individual ingredients, then you may not be able to have it designated into exact meals,
right.
But you do want to use the food that's closer to the front, and then put the fresh stuff in the back. So you may find that you'll be storing some things in a separate place, but you want to try to, even there, just kind of keep an eye out, and when you have things right there handy to be able to use, make sure that you're using up the stuff that's older and putting the fresh stuff behind.
Yeah. Now, we want you to be prepared. We think there's some potentially difficult times coming for a variety of different reasons that I won't get into. I mean, anything from politics to supply chain issues to hurricanes and earthquakes and job loss and everything.
Illness.
There's all kinds of reasons why it's really prudent and wise to be prepared, and we want to see you be prepared. Some of you may think, well, you're just trying to sell more Thrive Life food. we think Thrive is the best, and sure, we'd love for you to buy some Thrive food, but our main concern here is that you're prepared, and if you do it all from cans from the grocery store, from Aldi's where it's cheap, by all means, do that. That's the most important thing.
Yes. Or if you've got a big garden or whatever, and
Right.
you can can or you know, I'm a little hesitant to completely rely on freezing unless you've got some kind of phenomenal electric, off-grid system, because if you do lose your electricity, that could be catastrophic. If you've got a tremendous setup for freezing, that'd be fine. But things can be canned, and they can last quite a while when they're properly canned.
But even if you have a complete solar system that'll keep your freezer running, freezing has certain issues with it doesn't last long before you start getting freezer burn and stuff like that.
Yeah, if we're talking long-term freezing, just plain frozen food, we're not talking freeze-dried, but just plain frozen food, it eventually just isn't good anymore, and it just doesn't last as long.
Right. So anyway, there you go. If you're starting out, or if you've been doing it for a while and you're not quite sure exactly what you're doing, I hope that gives you a plan. I hope that gives you a purpose and some direction.
A starting point. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So,
and back real quick to what I was saying. Don't be afraid to consider canning meat, because I have pressure canned meat before, and it's wonderful. Mm-hmm. So anyway, I just suddenly thought of that.
If you don't want to use freeze-dried hamburger, go buy a bunch of hamburger, cook it up, and then can it.
And when I did that with pressure canning the meat, I just had it cut into chunks and then filled it with liquid, properly pressure canned it, and we ended up with wonderful tender meat in a wonderful broth. So, and I made bone broth that way too and canned it. So, yeah.
So, I hope that helps.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching.
Yes, live simple.
Live free. You be blessed. You be prepared.
Yeah, it's important and it's worth it. All right.
Okay.
Love you guys. We'll see you later.